Y'all, this new footage just blew the roof off the PnB rock case, and trust me, it's not looking good for Big U at all. First, it was the whispers about Nipsey Hussle, and now it's being said Big U was behind the hit on PnB too. The FBI just confirmed some details, and when I tell you the streets are shaking, Big U is looking like a straight-up menace out here. Even though Big U hasn't been officially named in PnB Rock's murder case, the way the puzzle pieces are clicking together is way too suspicious to ignore. Loose cannon, yeah, someone closely tied to Big U, straight up admitted in an interview that he and Big U were right there at Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles when PnB was gunned down. At first, Loose tried to act casual, said he was alone.
The crazy part about it is I was at Roscoe's when it happened.
You know, dude was like, he wanted that chain. He said no, and boop boop, no questions asked, and just took it and bounced.
But he stood on his business, but then it ultimately cost his life.
Then in another interview, Loose slipped up and dragged Big Useless, clearly throwing shade at Big U, into the mix.
I felt it was like super messed up because at the end of the day, it was me and Big Useless in there when it happened. So when it happened, I wish I could have just told him like, bro, just give up the jury and we get it back to you later. But it just happened so fast and he wasn't cooperating.
Big U himself, however, was asked about the PnB situation, but as you can expect, he kept his mouth shut about where he was at the time.
The situation that happened with PnB Rock at Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles, you know, when it come down to that situation and everything like that, what are your thoughts on what happened to PnB?
I mean, it could happen to everybody. Just to be honest with you, I spoke on that. It's about greed. You know what I mean? Greed, envy, same thing I did. I mean, I did that. I was on the other side of, I grew up and I lived on the other side of what PnB Rock was.
And listen, that right there, it's already shady, but when you factor in Big U's long, dirty reputation, it gets even messier. In LA, people don't believe in coincidences, especially when it comes to high-profile, targeted hits like this. Big U has been accused for years of running a shady extortion racket where people would get robbed and then Big U would help them get their stuff back for a price. Sound familiar? Because guess what happened to PnB Rock? He was targeted for his jewelry, ambushed, and then murdered. All while Big U's alleged extortion operation was in full swing. Now, Big U's name isn't on the official indictment related to PnB's murder, but let's be real. The bigger picture is screaming. Freddie Leone might have been convicted for setting up the hit, but anybody who knows street life knows the shooter or the setup guy. That's never the person really pulling the strings. There's always someone higher up calling the shot. But with street codes, fear, loyalty, ain't nobody ever going to point the finger at the real boss, especially when that boss is someone as powerful as Big U. So no, just because Big U hasn't been dragged into court over PnB yet doesn't mean he's innocent. It just means nobody's willing to say it out loud. And now, with this new footage out in the open, the streets are buzzing. People are looking way closer at what really happened that day inside Roscoe's. Think about it. What should have been a chill meal with family turned into a brutal crime that rocked the entire hip-hop world. Was it really just a random robbery, or was PnB Rock's death part of something way more calculated? Loose Cannon's interviews basically put him and Big U at the scene. He didn't straight up say, yeah, we did it, but he admitted they were right there when it all went down. And with everything we know now from Big U's RICO indictment about how he ran his operation, baby, the math is mathing, and it's ugly. Allegedly, here's how the whole scam worked. Big U's team would rob somebody, and then, surprise, offer to help them recover their stolen goods. But of course it wasn't free. Victims had to either pay up or do favors. Loose's casual wording during those interviews, it matches that exact blueprint. You couldn't even get your own chain back without checking in with Big U or his people. That is classic extortion behavior. And in the RICO indictment, Loose Cannon is named as Big U's muscle. The guy who actually went out there robbing people at Big U's command. What's even crazier, PnB Rock himself warned us about this mess before he died. In an interview with Bootleg Kev, PnB said he had already survived multiple robbery attempts in LA. He knew it was dangerous out there, and still somehow Loose and Big U just happened to be there the very moment he got shot and killed. You can't make this stuff up, y'all. But hold up, because it gets even more twisted. Loose and Big U, they weren't exactly tight lately. Loose has been running his mouth in interviews, throwing Big U under the bus, claiming Big U was involved in setting up Nipsey Hussle's death too. too. Luce said Big U called him before Nipsey was shot, telling him Nipsey was already dead. Well, but when Luce checked, Nipsey was still alive. Minutes later, Nipsey was gunned down. So Luce been painting Big U as the puppet master behind the scenes for a minute now. And now, with Big U facing a monster RICO case, people are seriously starting to question everything. Luce's past claims are getting a second and way more serious look. The internet is on fire with speculation. And Big U? His world is crashing down fast. After the feds dropped a jaw-dropping 43-count indictment on him, Big U turned himself in on March 19, 2025. He's been sitting behind bars ever since, waiting for his arraignment on April 8th. And let's be clear, the feds don't come through with a 43-count RICO indictment unless they are absolutely sure they've got you cornered. It's bad, real bad. The indictment paints a picture of Big U not as some reformed gang member, but as the kingpin of a mafia-style crime organization called Big U Enterprise. The feds say he was deep into everything: extortion, fraud, murder, you name it. They even linked him to the 2021 killing of aspiring rapper Rayshawn Williams. And while PnB Rock's murder wasn't listed specifically, let's not pretend it's not connected somehow. And get this? Big U's so-called developing options charity? Yeah, the one that was supposed to help the community? The feds say it was a scam. He was allegedly taking government grants, NBA donations, and instead of helping the kids in the streets, he was stuffing his own pockets. Oh, and let's not forget, he's also accused of scamming COVID-19 relief funds, dodging taxes for years, hiding money in shady accounts. Y'all, this isn't just some little slap on the wrist. These are the kind of charges that get you locked up for life. And what's worse, Big U spent years playing the role of the good guy, standing next to politicians, NBA players, city leaders, pretending to be a community hero. But behind closed doors, the feds say he was robbing the same community he claimed he was saving. If these allegations are true, Big U wasn't trying to protect the streets, he was pimping them. Right now, it's looking real bleak for Big U. A single RICO charge alone could bury him for decades. But with extortion, murder, and fraud stacked on top, he's staring down life in prison if convicted. And here's the kicker. We're not saying Luce or Big U straight up confessed to anything in their interviews, but the way Luce just casually threw out that he and Big U were at Roscoe's when it all went down, knowing Big U's alleged history of setting up robberies, it's a major red flag. So now the question is, do y'all think Luce Cannon and Big U really had a hand in setting up PnB Rock, or was it just a crazy coincidence? Drop your thoughts down below because, baby, this story is just getting started.
That's crazy. Yo. Man, what's them pistol PnB Rock, man? That's insane. That's nuts.